Welcome in the Bobby Carpenter Show, and it's a big Monday here for you today, Schlag. Super juiced to be in here talking, rolling with everything that's going on. It's it's a fiery and fun day, man.
Mm.
Um,
How
you know,
so, Bob? How so?
well, I mean, we had the Buckeye celebration,
It's a
right?
celebration.
So that was good, right? I mean,
What was good about it? What was good about it? What did you take away from it?
well, I thought it was good. Obviously, when you get a chance to celebrate a national championship, that's always fun. I thought Ross Bjork and President Carter did a great job. I thought Ryan did a great job. I thought Buckeye Nation did a great job um, showing up. I think there's like 30 to 40, 30, 35,000 people there. The players'
That's a
speeches were,
lot, bro.
it is. Yeah, for a cold day in Ohio in January. I mean, people showing up there just to sit there and watch people talk and watch a couple highlight videos for an hour. So that was great. But I thought Ryan got an unbelievable response, which was good. Like slap shot, President Ted Carter was great. Ross Bjork kind of handled it all. Like he was fantastic. Like there's just a lot of good things that you ultimately saw there. So I was just happy because there's a lot of we'll get into some of the other stuff here and some of the things that could be a little more negative, if you will, coming out of the national championship and what happens, as far as portals, guys leaving, and what that looks like. But at the end of it, it's pretty solid. I think where the team is, and there's still some things that can still shake out. But I was pretty proud and pretty impressed with everything.
So I want you to go into your thoughts on Ross Bjork and President Carter a little bit, and like in this moment. So again, like first year guys here, you know what I'm saying? And just your impressions about how they've handled football at Ohio State, because we've talked about this before, maybe not. I always say it. I always say that in America, it's different for certain schools, but the athletic department is the front porch of the university, right? People have
Yep.
affinity with it. They cheer on the teams. That might be, and I said athletics in that aspect because you have some schools that are predominantly basketball schools, right? But that's really what they are. That's kind of football, and then you might be a basketball school. Give your take because one, you're around more than I. Two, you have more interaction with both of them. Tell me a little bit about just your thoughts on them and where you see the athletic department moving forward.
I think there's great vision, and Ryan talked about this. The I guess you would say the alignment, if you will, strikes, and you know how important that is. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you talking about running businesses and everything there, making sure you have alignment from your leaders all the way down to like the very bottom. And when you have that type of alignment, that's tremendous. And so they had that alignment, and Ryan talked about it. Ross talked about it. President Carter has a vision for the university. He brought in Ross, especially in the athletic department side, to help enact that vision. And I think they're both very happy with Ryan and how he goes, like, and what he does. And one of the things, like they won a national championship, and Ross pointed this out. Obviously, the national title you don't need to point out, but I mean their APR was 1,000. They had one of the best GPAs that they've ever had. Like all of these things, like all those dudes you saw up there were graduating. Like they coming in, they had success, they're good, they went to class. I mean, Cody Simons, freaking finance dude, like super smart. Like these guys are from great families. They check all the boxes. And so, like, you just don't want to necessarily have guys who are coming in who are like great football players because, that's part of it. But you want to have guys who are coming in also who are great family from great families. And that'll alleviate a lot of the other nonsense that sometimes you have to deal with. It's like you talk about the third uncles and everything else. Like that helps to diminish those issues when you have great people coming in. And so the alignment of what you want your athletic department to look like starts with President Carter. Ross gets that message. And by the way, he was hired by him. So like, I think that there was probably discussions beforehand of, hey, this is how I want our athletic department to look. This is how I want our athletic department to be run. And then it's his job then to carry forth that mission and carry forth those values and what you think is important. And so that's what he's done. And they inherited Ryan Day, but Ryan Day checks a lot of boxes as the type of human that you would want there. And then also the guy's a heck of a football coach. And so then you put that in the mix and just won a national championship. And so the importance of that is big because I would say this, anybody that's an Ohio State fan and like especially alums, the last couple presidents at Ohio State, I don't think that was the case. And President Drake, like it just wasn't there. And so when Gene Smith moved on, President Carter came in, and listen, this guy had ran the Naval Academy for over a decade. He has more landings on an aircraft carrier than any other pilot in the country. He was at Nebraska for a while, so he was at a big school with big football where it was important. Like he understands, he knew what it was going to be like to be here, and so in doing that, he was able to enact his mission and like what he felt like Ross was the guy to do that. And so all these things were in alignment, and that's important. And so now with that alignment, then you're able to have the type of success that you're seeing. And so that was big time ball.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I remember, Gordon, President Gee, right? Like he goes to West Virginia and he had everybody really liked him, right? Some of the faculty necessarily didn't. And I think that that's something at Ohio State you do. This is real. We've all talked about this. You have silos here. And I think when you do have a shared vision of what everything looks like from an academia side and then the athletic side, but you also have this huge medical component with the new med center that they're building, the James Cancer Hospital, and all those different things. You got to have somebody that has vision and understands how they all tie together and how we can all promote each other and how we can also bring in funds that support everybody as opposed to just squabbling for the scraps of Longshank's table, AKA the pockets of people that want to get back to Ohio State. So I do like that. I like where it's going. I've had interactions with both men, and I think they're fantastic, man. So excited that you got to witness that.
So here we go, Schleiks. As we transition from that, that's the positive stuff. I'm sure we have something in there about Jim Knowles' departure that we can kind of throw up and talk about. But Schleiks, it kind of broke right around the celebration. Some people said it went till after. Like I was getting texts and seeing this stuff beforehand. Right before the start of the celebration, if Jim Knowles is really leaving. And, people talked about Oklahoma. They talked about Notre Dame. And I think the folks at Ohio State felt pretty good about being able to maintain him and keep him here through that opportunity. But then all of a sudden, Penn State entered the fray. And Jim is from Pennsylvania, Philly guy. And so there might be a little bit of appeal there. And then you find out that they offered him, the amount of dollars they threw out there. It's a 3-year, over
a lot of money,
over $9 million. So then I always like to dig in a little more and dig to the next level. And they said Ohio State was prepared to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, which would have passed Wink Martindale, I think at Michigan, which was like 2.7. He'd been like making 2.75, $2.8 million, like a large sum. And he was already near the top at 2.2, 2.3, and it hit a bunch of bonuses this year with that, obviously, because the team was so good. So I thought, like, okay, this guy, you would think that he would want to stay. And then it comes out he's going there. And part of it is he had a $1.3 million buyout. So some of that money that he's getting, Schlegs, about $300,000 a year, is going back to Ohio State. And so, like, you start looking, like, the dollars are fairly similar. And so you start digging in, like, what could it possibly have been? Was there rifts, and I think him and Ryan got along pretty well for the most part. And Ryan talked about making changes after that Oregon game. I mean, that was real. But I think Ryan, he called him the head coach of the defense. It wasn't like he was a micromanager on that. And so you try to figure out, was there something going on the defensive staff? And, he ran more 3 down when he was at Oklahoma State, more 4 down here. And the rumor was he wanted to get to more of that. And maybe there was a little friction with Larry Johnson, the D-line coach, about how to deploy it. But I didn't think that there was anything in isolation. Everybody wants to know what was it? And I'm like, well, I think money was part of it. Maybe how some of the things were maybe handled, but I don't know if there was one thing in isolation, Schlegs, I look at and say, this is the reason why Jim Knowles left. Like, yeah. I can't find that. Like I've dug and maybe like a lot of little things in here, but when you start looking at the money, like he was going to get a lot of money from Ohio State. He's going to have better players. He's coaching for Ryan Day, who's proven to be a more competent coach than James Franklin. You just won a national title. Now, I grant you're replacing a lot of that defense, but you have a lot of great players still coming back. And after the buyout, the money was roughly the same. So, like, I'm start factoring all those things in there. I'm trying to figure out exactly, like, okay, what Was there one thing? Was it just a lot of little things? And I can't put my finger on it at this point of what I think it could have been.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Oh, Cowboy Cody, he thinks that it's because he was a vegan.
Well,
You know,
Knowles is a
but
vegan, I
no,
think.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yoga.
that.
Listen,
I did
Jim
not.
Knowles Schlegs, if Jim Knowles wasn't a football coach, like I think he would be some sort of like, I don't know,
Could he be like a Bikram
Renaissance,
yoga instructor?
like a history teacher specializing in Renaissance, like it's somewhere, or maybe like a museum curator. Like he's just a very you know football coaches. I know a
Yeah.
lot of football coaches. Jim Knowles exists in like the 5% of football coaches that I know that like have a lot of interest and like understanding of things outside of football. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about like you and me sitting down and watching Billy Madison and laughing at it together. Like he is a guy that is very curious, that it almost seems miscast as a football coach.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it this way. I think very similar to the way that we look at why do guys stay? Why do guys enter the portal? There's a lot of different variables now than there weren't before. And when you look at coaching, let's take it because I've been in it. So when you go and you look at a place like Ohio State, you have a head coach that's probably going to get a contract extension. So there's, consistency there if you stay, right? Like, you're not going to get fired unless you don't do your job, but there's consistency there. So that's a plus. Your guys and coaches that are already on staff know your system. So it's not like you're bringing something completely new to the table. You have the component where I'm with you, Bob. I think that one thing that Ryan does do is he gives those guys in those key roles autonomy to be the head coach of the defense, for Mickey Marotti to be basically the chief operating officer of Ohio State. And it was the same with him. Now, just because you're the head coach of that doesn't mean if the head coach doesn't see something that he's not going to address it and that it needs to be able to be resolved. That can go into coaching personalities and management of people and hard conversations. And if you're not necessarily that wired that way, that could be a detriment. I mean, let's face it, I work for Urban Meyer. A lot of coaches find Urban very off-putting, like do not like to work for the guy. Others, they really, really like it and thrive in it. But it's just different. So, why all these things transpired, to your point, Bob, I don't think you're going to say there was a single deciding factor into why he left. He got paid significantly more. If we were going to offer him 285, you go to 3-1. It's a guaranteed contract. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's $300,000 over 3 years. That's $600,000, right? Where do you want to live? I sure in hell don't necessarily think Happy Valley is a better place to live than Columbus, Ohio, especially Pickaway County. Yeah, unhappy Valley, right? Like when all you have there is like sheets. I don't even know what kind of department store is there. They might have like a Belk's. I don't even know if that exists, but that's the case, right?
Belk's.
So it's like, so it's like
in Carolina and stuff.
So it's like they might have one somewhere. It'd be different if you're going back to Oklahoma. Now you get Academy Outdoors. Like, I kind of like that. We have Vance's here. So what are you really getting by going? The point is,
Jim Knowles is going there, or he's going to buy some incense and maybe some, I don't know, some of Hunter Biden's paintings or something. I don't know. Maybe they do painting classes together.
No, I would just say this is like all fans need to know is that he's no longer in the building. But Bob, maybe on the next segment, we should talk about where he could potentially go. I don't know, with that defensive coordinator position that's up in the air.
What do you mean?
Jim Knowles left.
That's the big question. That is like, and we got a lot of stuff to get to today, folks. We got a huge show.
Huge.
There's a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff churning, obviously. That's why you think when the offseason is like, man, it's getting a little slow. What are we going to talk about? Poof, David Copperfield. Oh, by the way, Chip Kelly is getting overtures. There's a million things we got to get to. We're going to spin through a lot of this. We'll keep the DC coordinator rolling and how that's ultimately going to look and what it could be. But I do want to get to some of this stuff with Ryan Day, some more stuff from the celebration, and then also some of the players they kept, because although Knowles left, I mean, the portal is now closed for Ohio State, at least this one. There'll be another spring one, but spring hasn't been near as active. So these guys are all here, and at least they're going to be here through winter conditioning and spring ball. Like, I want to tell you this: attention, parents and athletes, protect what matters most. Trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. We're talking about XSport mouth guards. They're scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits to protect both your teeth and your brain. XSport mouth guards, they feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including the patented use of carbon fiber, custom fit to your own smile. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication. Focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today and save 15% on your order. XSport. Protect what matters most. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, welcome back into the program, Schlegs, and I want to get to this before we get any further. Ryan Day, obviously, a lot of pressure, obviously, to have success and to be able to push forward with it. And so, with that, you wonder when you have this success, the reception. Like, would you be endeared? How are you going to be? How are you going to be received? And so, this is if you didn't get a chance to either be at the fan celebration, the celebration of the national championship, or watch it, it was on 10 TV. We aired it live on the Fan as well. If we can toss that up there, Pat, taking a look. And this is Ryan Day when they introduced him, and like the cheers for Ryan when he came to the podium. It was amazing.
Please welcome your head football coach, Ryan Day. Man, that never sounded any better than.
Yep. And that was pretty sweet, man. Like,
Yep.
did you get a chance to watch it all, Schlegs? I know you weren't there.
No, I did. I watched that.
They just
I mean,
played
I know. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go sit down. I mean, listen, I'm a fan. The difference is I get my bucket filled because I'm having interactions with the guys and they're talking to me. So I know exactly what it is. And I'll say this for everybody that's listening. Bob, you and I have been of the same sentiment from the very beginning when everybody thought like the world was falling, the sky was falling. Like press pause, like it's good. Why did we say that it was good? Because we know the guys in the building. We know the culture that's in place. We know how much the guys cared about their coaches, not just Ryan, but their coaches. There was a great question in the chat about did Knowles even recruit? I'm telling you this, like you look at everybody that's going through there inside, eliminate the guys that go in the portal because guys go in the portal for multiple reasons. But you look at James and what James has been able to do in the linebacker position from a recruiting standpoint that hasn't been done for a long time at Ohio State. You look at what OG and Coach Guerrero have been able to do in the back end and the caliber of guys that they're bringing in. You look at Larry's been very, very consistent in what he does. You look at the running back. Like there's just so many different things. Like they come and like Heartline. I mean, like what are we talking about? I just named about 4 guys there, but they're Buckeyes, and that's where they're coming. They're coming because of the relationship. So him leaving doesn't necessarily matter. And then the crowd cheer for him. That's kind of like the silent majority of Buckeye fans is how I kind of view it, right? We get this loud minority of people that say fire Ryan Day, that he's terrible, where I think the silent majority knows that he's a damn good football coach. He's had a lot of success here. He knows where he has to get better and what game that is, but he ultimately brought you a national championship, and he's the 3rd consecutive coach at Ohio State to do that. And he's recruiting at a really, really high level. And I think he found a good place right now where he is because he has a guy on the offensive side of the ball in Chip Kelly that he trusts. He has to find that guy on the defensive side of the ball that he trusts, how they can all work together. Because I will tell you all this, the one thing that all leaders and managers hate dealing with is the human element. It's the ego element. It's I got to get the credit for it, or it's my way, and I can't even put on a board and have you diagram what could be a potentially better option. If I can't compute it, we can't do it type mentality. And so guess what? This is great. We got a great opportunity now to find somebody that can and be really, really solid on that side of the football, because when they got better, Bob, this year defensively is when, I'm not saying dumbed down, but when you simplify things to where there is no gray area. And some of the things that they did in the back end is complex, but it was simple because it cleared up run fits. Wherever the safety, Caleb came down running a 3 safety kind of shell, like Cody automatically knew he was the outside guy, Caleb was the inside guy, or Lathan, and Sonny was the outside guy on it. Sonny was curl to flat. He might have been hooked to curl. Safety coming down might have been hooked to curl. And Cody might have had to go be, curl to flat, depending upon where they set the front in the field position. So, but by doing so, they were able to play faster. And that, to me, is what you saw in the second half of the season.
It was good. The defense played great. And Slake's your guy, Emmanuel Acho, who talked a little noise about Will, saying what was the worst of the 4 quarterbacks left in the semifinal. If we've got that path, we could throw that up there. He had what makes this Ohio State Buckeyes the greatest team. So now we're going to do the whole circle and come on back. So let's hear what Acho has to say.
Couple things. Number one, shout out Will Howard. Will Howard, you absolutely dominated. I early on in the college football playoff campaign said he was one of the worst quarterbacks remaining in the playoffs, and he proved that he was actually, in fact, the best when it mattered most. Shout out to you, Will Howard. Shout out to you, Ryan Day. You shut everybody up. Hi, I'm everybody. You shut everybody up after the loss to Michigan, and everybody started to come out and chastise you. Shout out to you, Chip Kelly. Shout out to you, Jeremiah Smith. Shout out to you, Travion Henderson. Shout out to you, Jack Sawyer. Shout out to all of y'all. But the biggest takeaway I had in all of this, and I think this is a life lesson, and there's a saying, the person who humbles himself will be exalted. And all of these Ohio State players humbled themselves. Chip Kelly, he was a head coach. He said, you know what? I don't want to be the head. I'll be subservient. I'll be an offensive coordinator. He was exalted. Travion Henderson, you set a true freshman record at Ohio State for the most touchdowns, second all time in the rushing yards of the freshman. And you said, Quinshon Judkins, it's all good. I'll share this running back room with you. You humbled yourself. You were exalted. Emeka Egbuka, you will retire as the leading receiver in Ohio State history, but you were never the number 1 receiver on your team. Marvin Harrison Jr., along with Jeremiah Smith. You could have transferred. You humbled yourself. You became exalted. This Ohio State team is truly a team of individuals who chose to humble themselves so that they could be exalted. I think we could all learn a lesson in life about what Ohio State did on the field.
And it's pretty impressive. And the biblical element there to this team and what he referenced there of those humbling themselves will be exalted. It's pretty important. And so I just wanted to get that out there. I mean, I like Acho. He's a big shock value guy. The Will Howard stuff was a little bit nonsense when he threw that out there, but he did throw everybody their flowers and make sure that they were going to make, and honestly, ate a little crow, if you will, Schleiks.
Yeah, and guess what? It's okay. And I have no problem when people make comments like that back up statistics. And we even said it on here like that was just an absolute, absurd take. But, credit to him for being able to say that you're wrong. I think people should say that more often. It's self-introspection. But I did appreciate the fact of how he communicated the survey. And we talked about why – I don't think we talked about it on the show, but I was doing a podcast with Westside Barbell about what made this team great, and it was the servant mentality. And, where you can have in 2024, 2025, competitive excellence at its finest. Like, I want that job. You want that job. Let's go compete. All right, cool. When you're out there, guess what? I'm your biggest fan. When I'm out there, you're my biggest fan. Ultimately, at the end of the day, let's go win football games together. We're going to make each other better in the process. That's what's unique about this team, especially when you have a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds that are doing it. But the reason that they're able to do it, it's well communicated. The standard is the standard, and that is Ohio State football.
Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about that defensive coordinator position. The one we threw out there, who could be some candidates, internal, external. We'll throw some names around, try to figure it out. Coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
All right, welcome back into the program.
Yes, there he is. Where'd he go? What did you do? You had to go to the toilet?
I did run upstairs and turn something on. No, I didn't go to the toilet. Like, dude, it was a break. We have a minute and a half off. I went upstairs to turn on our steam room, to tell you the truth, so I get in the steam after I'm done with it.
Ooh, nice,
I'm going to
nice.
heat it up. Yeah, that was the plan. So I ran upstairs and got that done. Now we're going to talk a little bit about who could potentially replace Jim Knowles. We can throw that one up about Walt. There's a couple internal candidates. Maybe you look externally as well, try to figure out who you could potentially get. There's a lot of coordinator movement, though, with some of these bigger schools, considering that Al Golden left Notre Dame. He's down at Cincinnati. Now Jim Knowles obviously just left to go to Penn State. So there's guys they're looking at, but let's look internally first, Legs, and try to look at this internally of what this could be like, potentially be. If we can throw that up there, Pat. I believe it's the first one on the list about OG as the DC, OG being Tim Walton. And it's being thrown out there. Tim Walton, Buckeye alum. He's been here for was his first year, second year? First year, Slags?
No.
Second.
I want to say I think this might be his third year.
Is this third? Did he come right out? How long you been fired from Jacksonville? No, 2 years.
22.
Yeah,
No.
so 23, 24.
22? No. 22 season, 23 season, 24 season.
Okay.
I think he's been here for 3 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think.
Matter of fact, I am right.
Good
We've
job.
hit a lot of people here, Bob. We've hit a lot of people, man. You have a way better memory than I do. You must brush your teeth with your left hand way better than I do.
Yeah, so he returned. Thanks, Pat. Returned in 2022. We came in with Jim Knowles. They've kind of built this thing together. Has done a great job. He was a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He was a D-backs coach when I was in Detroit. He was with James when they were with the Rams together. He's an experienced guy. Great connection to players. Phenomenal recruiter. And so you've got him. then you heard this with Ryan. And I don't know if you didn't watch this, like, so this is why you have to watch things when you actually work and do this stuff.
No, I watched this.
Watch what?
The thing with Coach G.
Do they have it up here? Can we play it? Do we have it saved in here?
I put it in here, I thought.
Okay. Well, why don't you look around for it and try to find it?
I don't know where it is.
I don't think it's in there. I looked around for it. I didn't see it in the list of sound.
Go ahead, keep talking about it.
But you have Matt Guerrieri, who came in from Oklahoma, who was at Indiana last year. He was the defensive coordinator. He was here with Jim Knowles before. He knows this defense as well as anyone. He's called stuff at Duke. He's been involved in everything. He's younger. He's only 38. So like you have him and James that are on the younger end of the spectrum here. But Ryan Day came out and said, one of the brightest young stars in coaching is a name you might not know now, but you will be familiarized with, and that's Matt Guerrieri. And so he probably has, because he's been with Knowles like for 10 years, like, and worked in and out with him, like the knowledge base of this defense. It's a little bit of a unique system. Not a lot of people have a ton of knowledge about it, Schlegs. So with that, it's like, okay, I think that he would be a guy that would be great, even though he's a little bit young, just knowledge-wise. But like, does he have the command and the understanding? I think so this is where you have to kind of find a way to blend this stuff together and try to figure it out of how it's going to work and how it's going to operate with everything. And so as I look at this, like, okay, those are two guys like Larry Johnson, probably not James. You throw him in there, like, but do you do like some sort of co-coordinator situation with Tim and maybe Guerrieri? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure, because I think Tim is like his command and his understanding like of players and everything like that. But then Matt's knowledge of this system, this unique and specific system, is pretty good. And honestly, I didn't love the system at first, but it's grown on me and it's very effective. And they've done a good job with it, and especially if they can utilize it with some of the front stuff and getting the rush going and doing some 3-man things that we saw the rush get improved and some more blitzes. So, I mean, that's a big piece of it. But those kind of is an internal solution, Schlegs. I mean, your thoughts on that?
I like what you said. You could even do, D coordinator / co-coordinator, passing game coordinator, whatever the fuck you want. With OG, and you never know what OG's even thinking about, right? Like, he's been around for a long time. Like, does he want to be the DC?
I think OG would like to be the DC, Schlegs.
You just freed up a bunch of money with him departing of what you were paying him this last season. So how do you spread it around, right? Like, within the staff and in the way that you like it. So to your point, I think the best thing about Guerrieri here is you've had a system that's been in place for 3. Does that fit within what OG likes to do defensively? You know what I mean? Like, even James, like, is that what he's prevalent of doing? Does he like that? And so, he's made it work. They made it work.
Well, I would say they've done more than make it work. I mean, it's been.
No, I don't. No. Time out. I'm talking about when you sit back and you're an assistant, there's always things that you love about a program, and there's always things that you would like to tweak in a program, even regardless of how successful the program is, because there are things that you internally believe in with every fiber of your being that need to be in there that might not be. So with that being said, where are they on that spectrum? And that's why I said you made it work, meaning guys doing what they're supposed to do, which is be an assistant and coach the shit out of your guys within the system to give them the tools and equip them to be able to go out there and execute regardless of who the defensive coordinator is or not. That's what my comment was about. So based upon current personnel, based upon current knowledge of this defense, then that does seem to be the path that you would go to, because you don't want to start from scratch or start over or even try to tie in things that you liked from one into what you like, because then it just gets convoluted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not what you want either. You want to be clear and concise, and this is how we're going to do it. Go into the room as a staff, put on a board, we're all in agreement, and if we're not even all in agreement, I still have the authority to say this is what we're doing, and then we're going to go out there and execute. Because much like the guys, the biggest thing in coaching staffs, again, I already told you this today in the cast, I hate the human element because I just like to freaking go. Okay?
That's just like
So
that's the biggest part of it. That's like saying
I know, but
the
I hate
worst
it.
part
But
about
you know what?
eating is the chewing and swallowing. I mean, what else is there? Okay?
No,
Like,
no, the chewing and swallowing, you get to savor some of the flavor. Like I go to Greek Express literally 5 days a week when I'm in town because it's right by the Armory. And I just get steak over rice. And I just savor the flavor. And I eat my little pita bread on the side. And it's great. But so, no, it's not like that. It's this. It's the fact that when you are a leader, and I'm not going to put Ryan on there, but for me personally, you want to give autonomy for those people to go out there and do your job with the same give a shit factor that you yourself have as though it's your own program. That to me is the sweet spot. And how do you do that? You get the right people on the bus. That's how. Because you don't have to deal with it. There are always going to be some elements of the human element all the time. But the more that you can negate those by hiring the right people, it makes it a lot better. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so let's look at a couple external candidates here, Slice.
Who are your external candidates?
Well, they went after a guy that you and I know really well, Jim Leonard, who played, who played in Rex Ryan's system with the Ravens and the Jets. He was at Wisconsin when we were there. Very, very talented. He was Wisconsin's D coordinator. When Fick came in, he ended up leaving. He went to Denver. Apparently, like Notre Dame talked to him. He wants to stay in the NFL now. He likes the NFL. And I get it. And they were trying to say that, like, Al Golden didn't recruit. And I just think he doesn't want to recruit. And, like, Jim Knowles really didn't recruit a ton either at Ohio State. You have other great recruiters with that. But I think he is content staying there. Maybe he would come to Columbus. I don't know. You have Phil Parker. Do you know who Phil Parker is, Schleichs?
Nope.
They just threw it out in the chat. This is something I was talking to Berm about. But Phil Parker, he's the DC at Iowa, and he's a Lorain, Ohio guy, so an Ohio native. And that Iowa defense has been really good for a long time. They're not the most exotic defense in the world. And I said, like, I don't particularly love it as a player because I think it's kind of boring. Now they're really good. So I said, I will not besmirch his results. He is a great defensive coordinator. For me, I don't necessarily just love it because they don't pressure. They don't do a lot of like unique things. Now, maybe at Ohio State where you would be able to have better athletes, maybe you do more stuff. I don't know. But those are two of the guys that have kind of been thrown around initially right here. Oh, goodness. The coordinator at Indiana. I got to think of his name. He's an Ohio guy that could be out there. So there's a number of guys.
I'm an Ohio boy.
Well, it'd be interesting for Ryan. Do you go with an external hire and try to bring someone who's maybe a little more experienced, who's coordinated defense? Or do you stay internal and maybe you try to pair it up like, Walton, Guerreri or something like that? And the thing is, you talk about changing things, Schleichs. Like you could always put a tweak on it and your spin on it. Just because Guerreri came up with Knowles doesn't mean that he believes everything that Knowles does. He may want to do stuff a little different. And here's the reality. The best coaches are the best at talent utilization. What do you have on your team? Like, I may love doing A, but we don't have the guys for A this year. So let's work on B and C and try to figure out what we can ultimately be really good at. That's, to me, what some of the best stuff and the best coordinators are of what they're able to do. So there's flexibility with that. Flexibility is the key to air power, Schleichs. You've always told me that, and I've always believed that, the Air Force mantra. And so maybe they blend, Walt and his ability, his ability to relate to players. You see how those guys gravitate toward him. You see how everybody loves the guy. And Guerreri's like intricate knowledge of the scheme. And then Walt's experience of just coaching defense in the NFL, coordinating defense in the NFL, like all of those things. And maybe you try to blend that together. I don't know. We'll see. But this is why Ryan, people are like, these guys make a lot of money. I'm like, and the quote's been out there. You don't get paid a lot of money at Ohio State to go beat Purdue. You get paid a lot of money to beat the good teams and to make tough decisions like this when, there may be multiple right ones. Which is the most right? Well, you've got to figure that out. And that's going to be pretty hard. They're going to have to lean in and try to ultimately get that done. All right, we're long for a break. We got our headlines coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some.
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. Now we've got some headlines for you, Schlegs, and even though you weren't, even though you weren't at the celebration, if you will,
I was there in spirit.
I believe you were, and so Will Howard was there. Obviously, he's the quarterback, but wasn't a captain, so it's a little bit interesting. Like they had to try to find a unique way for him to talk. To get him up there because the four captains spoke, and I mean, you can make an argument for all of the seniors being able to get up there and speak. But they did a great job, obviously. But Will Howard from Pennsylvania, played 4 years at Kansas State, ultimately comes to Ohio State, comes back to the Midwest and leads the national championship. You know, and it's funny, his girlfriend is Seth McLaughlin's girlfriend's sister. Like, so there's some connectivity there. But it's like, you know, what does your life hold? And let's throw this up, Pat, about, you know, the life change for Will Howard and like, what does it look like moving forward? You spent 1 year at Ohio State, but in doing so, you know, how is that ultimately going to change your life? And what is your life going to look like as you move forward?
It's for life, man, and it's more than just football. It's way more than that. It's a way of life, you know, and you know, it's about, you know, that blue collar, that tough Ohio spirit, and I think this team embodied that so much, and I'll cherish this year for the rest of my life, man. This year has completely changed my life. You know, I don't know where I'm going to end up living when I grow old, but Columbus, Ohio is not a bad spot, man. I love it here, and I'm a true Buckeye for life.
Yeah,
it's tremendous.
Let's talk about this, Bob.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. I had somebody mention to me, like, in passing about this topic, like he was a hired gun. You know, what about this? All this stuff about, you know, I thank God that he made me a Buckeye. Going back to the Tressel quote, and I got kind of offended. And became a dick. Not gonna lie to you guys.
Who was this person? Who is this person?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who this person was. But here's.
Did you fight him?
I wouldn't say I was a dick. I was very short and concise in my comment back. And the point is this: who determines that you have to be here for, you know, 1 year or 5 years to be able to be a Buckeye? That's on the people that are in the building. I mean, Maurice played 1 year. He's a Buckeye, my opinion, right? Doesn't matter. And you see by what he's done. Will Howard, guys, like he came into this deal along with Q, along with Seth, along with Caleb. I knew there were going to be great fits right out of the beginning and that they were all in on being a Buckeye, because being all in on a Buckeye means you show up every single day to work, you grind your absolute face off, you care about working your craft, and you care about your teammates. They don't shy away from competitive excellence. They just go out there and do what they're asked to do. And that's Will. And I saw it in the weight room. I saw it off the field. I saw how he interacted with guys. I mean, it wasn't like he was the number one guy in the line from the first day. He had to earn that stuff, right? It was earned in the offseason. It was earned during spring football. It was earned in the summer. It was earned during camp. He is a Buckeye for life, not just because he won a national championship. Like, being a Buckeye is more than championships. It's more than beating Michigan. I'm talking about Ohio State football. It's more than Big Ten titles. It's about the guys that you go in and work with and live with on a day-to-day basis. That's what it's about. That's where the magic, the accolades happen because we collectively put it together. And those are great feelings to be able to bring your kids back and say, Dad was a part of that. And you know what? Dad got to play with that dude and that dude and that. Tell me about that dude. Son, daughter, they were a worker. They were a grinder. They uplifted people. They brought energy to practice. This person, bam, you go through it. That's what being a Buckeye is, not the length of the tenure that you were there, but what you did while you were there in the locker room, most importantly, Bob.
Absolutely. All right. And then here's Will with a little bit of levity. He got a chance to speak after they bring him up, and Ryan starts talking about the Texas game and the great run by Will Howard and how he was the first player to tackle himself and get tackled by the 20-yard line. If we could toss that up, Pat. It's pretty special.
Tie game. Will Howard converted on 4th and 2, only to get tackled by the 20-yard line on his way into the end zone. Is the only guy in the history of the Cotton Bowl to get tackled himself. So I think we deserve to hear an explanation on what the hell happened on that play. Will Howard!
I love it.
It was great. And Will got up there and he's like, I was trying to get down to give more time for our defense. You can believe that if you want, and kind of laughing and making light. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? And that's why, for a guy coming in who's a leader, fiery, everything you want about him, the self-deprecation, like your teammates love that. And that's absolutely tremendous, Schlegs. All right. Long for break. We're going to get to some of our tailgate talk. We're going to answer your questions, Schlegs. It's our favorite part of every show, diving into the questions and comments section. We'll do that next here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
All right, Schlegs. Welcome into our tailgate talk, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Bring your truck to life at realtruck.com. They've got everything you need for the interior, the exterior, truck, Jeep, Bronco. They've got it all. I need to still, Schlegs, get some of those seat covers before I got a little bit of time for my
seat covers.
Yeah, well, because it's a little cold outside still, but I got my bumpers, I've got my cover, I got a bed cover, I got everything that I need. So go do the same. Go over to realtruck.com, and here's the best part: you spend $100, you get free shipping. It's easy to spend money there because it's so great, and all the stuff is so fantastic, and you're going to love it so much. So go check them out at realtruck.com. Schlegs, we got in the chat last week some of the comments that were left after the show. Some folks that maybe can't see it live to watch it later. And it's been coming. His comment was coming from Tracy Winters 917. It was interesting. I was trying to figure out what it was in response to, but I think we were putting up how much Ohio State got paid throughout the bowl game or throughout their runs. And her comment was the more you play, the more your team should be paid, not Purdue and Rutgers and et cetera that did nothing. And because the Big Ten shares the whole bowl pot, man, like Notre Dame got all 20 million of theirs. Ohio State, they contributed, probably more than, or 20 or more. And then obviously Oregon kicked in a little bit. Indiana threw in some. Penn State made 3 games, so they kicked in some. But a lot of teams, they're not going to any bowl games, they're not doing anything, and they're all getting to share in the bounty and the riches. So it's a good comment by you, Tracy. And then here's another one from Tracy that was right before that. Schlegs, are you doing strength training again with the Buckeyes? They all spoke so highly of you. Inquiring minds want to know.
No. I'm here at Running the Armory.
Well, no, currently until called upon, Schlegs. Isn't that what you said?
When called upon, you have to be able and be ready to respond. AKA Urban Meyer. But yeah, no, I'm staying gas station ready. I'm staying fit. I'm right here. There's Jay Hooten right there, my guy. We're talking programming all the time. Hell, we're working with the Columbus Fury. I'm working with the Columbus Fury right now. I love training alpha females. And so that kind of fills my coaching bucket. Though they haven't won, they started fast this last game, and then they freaking came out slow. But they got it. I just love maximizing people. So wherever God allows me to maximize people through authentic service, that's where I'll be. But I had an absolute blast working with those young men. And I texted this to Cody, and it goes for a lot of those young men. I am extremely proud and grateful that they are my Buckeye brother. And it goes past that. Like, I've had a bunch of guys down to the farm shooting guns. We go to Vance's.
Dude, Cade's back in town. Cade's back. Shoot Cade a text, dude. Seth McLaughlin's in town. Maybe we can go shooting again.
Seth will be out there in his little scooter with his deal.
Scooter. He said he left his scooter in Georgia. He retired the scooter, Schlegs. He's done with it.
So he's gonna go over there with a boot. Well, I was like, we got a little shooting berm over there. We'll have to do some coursework with your boot, Seth. Get you ready for the combine. And that's how I prepared for the NFL season. I just went hog hunting. Why not? You're a center.
Absolutely. Last one here coming from Thomas Schroed, 3662. He said, thanks for reading my comment. It was the one about Sherman last week about marching to the South. Great surprise. Better hold on to the campaigns in general book. It's a real fine. Glad you caught the reference to Sherman. I actually lived in Lancaster for a couple of years. Boom, check mark for you. I would pass the Sherman house all the time when I was there. Love going through it, love looking at it, and all the great things there. We got a lot more comments and stuff. I wish we had more time to get to them. We will as the week goes on. I did not anticipate, Schlegs, talking about a defensive coordinator situation today. Hopefully this week we're not talking about an offensive coordinator situation, as Chip Kelly is getting inquiries from the NFL, which I think is maybe where he wants to be. I'm hoping they pass on him because I love Chip and I want him to stay here. But just pay attention and stay locked in here, Schlegs. We got our parting thoughts coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, Schlegs, you don't get to just throw in whatever you want to hear at the end. We're doing the
That's what happens. That's why can't I do that? I'm sorry.
Saving the rest of the stuff. I want to throw this up here because we were supposed to get to it last week. We didn't. And if we don't do it today, Schlegs, we may never get to it because Big Play, the dude that does a lot of our graphics and stuff for us, is putting out a comic. As you can see there, please share. Made a comic book inspired by the greatest Ohio State play of all time. It's available in his Etsy shop. If it sells well, he's going to do some iconic moments from the other three games. So listen, folks, it's a great piece of artwork. Jack Sawyer, I'm sure, will be signing autographs, doing some appearances. There's a great deal right there. I'm sure they may have another one, Schlegs. Like maybe they could have something from the Notre Dame game. Maybe there's a great run by Trey against Oregon. Something else that you could see. Maybe Jeremiah's catch. I could have some other stuff. So we want to promote this so we can get some more stuff out there if it sells well. So go check it out, folks. We'd really, really appreciate it. We've got a lot of other stuff to get to this week. It is going to be a robust week. Bill Bender tomorrow, AG on Wednesday. So we're excited about that. So stay locked in right here. See you at 12:30 tomorrow on the Bobby Carpenter Show.